So your mom moves here to the States, and you're 8 years old, and things start to change for you a little bit. How do you go from reading the Encyclopedia Britannica and being pretty much a bookworm, and then
I'm still a bookworm.
still a bookworm?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a great thing.
Voracious.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Well, for me, it was like coming from Israel that didn't have an infrastructure, no roads. We would go on a Friday to the local area, and there'd be long lines going down blocks, no blocks. There were bombed out buildings because there were always wars there. There are wars there now.
Mm-hmm.
And dirt, no pavement, no street, no sidewalks, nothing. It was just dirt. And I never thought about it at 5 or 6 years old because that's all I knew. And I'm standing holding my mother's hand, and on one side there'd be a gentleman with sheets of newspapers ripped out. And on the other side there'd be a table with big lumps of different things, sugar and salt and whatever. And you'd get to the front line and they'd give you a newspaper, and on it you'd get a slab of butter, that was your food for the week. A little piece of meat, some milk and stuff, and that was your food for the week. We didn't have refrigeration, I don't think we had a radio that I recall. I never heard of a television set, and you're talking about the 20th century, until we came to America. And when we came to America, like everything was big. The people were big. Everybody I thought was fat was big. And I saw the amount of, people on TV were eating sandwiches, like you never saw anything like that. And one of the first images, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was a guy who I thought was in his underwear with a cape flying through the air without a plane. I was like, what is that? Mm. And I was fascinated by America, and still am. I'm still amazed. I just bought another house, one of 6, the land of plenty. God bless America is a real phrase. 6 houses, all modern and everything. Well, the newest one is the first and only zero carbon house in all of America.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to pay for it. So
where is it?
Where is it, he says. It's around.
Okay, I got it.
And when I want the lights to go down, I talk to Josh. Hey, Josh, turn on 60s music. There's no toilets. You don't even have to wipe your ass anymore. It's just, hey, get me a hot fudge sundae and a back rub. Boom. You talk to it, and it happens. Dim the lights, a little bit more.
So I see you have a tremendous appreciation for America.
Oh, you can't. Yeah. You don't understand. Because were it not for America, which is really I taught 6th grade for a while in Spanish Harlem, which is a very bizarre country, unlike any other country on the planet. You got to remember, it's a very young country. It's only been around 200 plus years.
And you were raised in New York, actually.
New York City.
First, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Puglia's and St. Gennaro Festival and all that. I grew, some of my best friends had uncles. You understand?
Yeah, of course.
Matter of fact, a lot of them had uncles.
Well, we're going to get into that a little bit.
Well, yes, I understand. But by the way, some of the nicest people I didn't know about anything else.
No,
but in terms of, like, give you the shirt, anything you need. If you need stuff, boom. I'll never forget, I used to go to Chinatown, and for $1.50 you could get egg foo young, tea, and just like fill up like nothing you've ever seen. Exactly. Great food, great everything. $1.50. Across the street on Mott,
Little Italy,
there's a place called Little Italy. Night and day difference. And I remember we'd finish on Mott and Canal Street. We'd get the egg foo young and go across the street to get cannolis, otherwise known as ganol.
Ganoles.
Only in New York. If you go to Italy, they wouldn't know what that word is. Yeah, it's just a New York Italian specific. accent,
Exactly.
including the, that thing. It exists nowhere else,
Yeah, of course.
So there, mid-block, there was a pastry shop with a little old woman who was always there. Come in, boys! Like you haven't seen your family member in 20 years. And we don't. But what a happy place!
Yeah.
Go in and fresh every day. They'd be just brimming. Take another. Give me like family members.
You're bringing back great memories now. I got to
Oh
tell you.
my God!
Yes.
There
And
was
that's nowhere else in the country. That's Little Italy in New York is
unlike
different anywhere else.
And by the way, when I left New York to come to L.A. because I was seeing this singer, television person, and by 79, it all of a sudden occurred to me, at night they bring the iron, protection devices in front of the stores in Chinatown. But there's this beautiful bakery that's got windows that go all the way down to about 2-3 feet above the ground. Then it's a piece of wood. You could easily break through there and stuff. Why don't they ever break through? It was explained to me by somebody I met, a gentleman who was in the business. He said, "No, you don't want to do that there." I said, "Well, why?" He goes, "Sometimes people get lost. They can't find their way home. So crime?
No crime in that neighborhood. No crime in any of our neighborhoods. No crime. But let me ask you this.
People don't know that.
Well, they do now. They understand. I've been talking about that forever. We never had any crime or any issues in our neighborhoods. Wouldn't allow it. But let me ask you, what motivated your mom? How did your mom make the break from Israel to come here to New York?
My mother had 2 brothers, Larry and George, who escaped Hungary right before the Germans came in and started shipping off anybody undesirable into the concentration camps. They both became very successful. One had a huge bakery and all that stuff, and George became a prosthodontist. He made bridges, teeth, and all that, and balls, prosthetic balls.
Really?
For people who needed them for the few people that would want, you've got one instead of 2. And the first job I got was working for my Uncle George, carrying a brown paper bag. No, actually, that was the second job. That was also a brown paper bag, carrying the brown paper bag to the various dentists. And in there, I would imagine there were fake teeth and balls. I'd take them to various places. I have to say, the job I had before then was making $1.25 minimum wage in New York in 1963. Might have been 1863. See what I did there? That was a joke. And I worked, there are 2 blocks in New York City that the rest of the country has no idea about. The Jewelry Center, all owned by Jews. I mean, first floor and second floor. Yes. Diamonds, like the giant ones.
Until today.
Even today,
yeah.
And you'd go to those 2 stores. Now, you don't see any cops on the street. But there are, I later learned, a lot of people who don't look like cops who are carrying and making sure so that nobody gets stolen. So I worked for one of the jewelry stores, and they would give me paper bags to take this paper bag to so-and-so street. I just looked like, a bum, a college, not even a college kid, high school kid. And I noticed whenever I was walking, there was a guy in front of me and a guy in back of me. Also looked like there was some hat and all that stuff. I never thought about it or anything, and nobody ever bothered me.
Those are the good old bad days, I would say.
Well, I would say this as a sidebar, which is today, I'm temporarily insane. The dog ate my homework, or somebody called me by the wrong name. And we're afraid of words, and there are always excuses.
Yes.
When I was growing up, parents, even when the kids talk back to their parents, you get slapped across the face. And then you thought twice about doing it again. Gene, now the parents go to jail.
Gene, I remember, I was in Catholic school from kindergarten right through high school.
By the way, you're not allowed to say Catholic. By edict of Caesar Constantine at the Council of...
You are well learned.
Oh, it was supposed to say Roman Catholic. by the first Caesar, Roman Pope, Caesar Constantinople and all that. It means literally the Roman universal religion. Catholic in Latin means universal. No mention of Jesus. The Roman universal religion. That's what it means.
Really?
At 315 A.D. at the Council of Medea out in Turkey. Back to you.
Well, listen, Eddie, in Catholic school, I remember I had rough conduct. I don't know why. I'm a pretty good student, but my conduct was always questionable. So I remember I get called, the principal calls my mother. She comes in, and I remember her saying, my mother telling her, hey, if he gets out of hand, do what you got to do. You got to slap him. You got to put him, it was different back then. Today, you go to jail for that. But you know what? I mean, I appreciate it. Because I grew up with discipline and authority, understanding what the respect was all about. It was different. I'm not saying we should do that now, but it was just different.
I think we should do that now. I believe that if you walk up and down the streets of Beverly Hills, there are a lot of celebrities. May I use the French phrase? These kids are fucked up.
Yeah.
Drugs, rehabs, and all that stuff, because it's allowed. You're rich, you're famous, you've got food in your belly and a roof in your house. They backtalk, they roll their eyes when they slam the door in their rooms. There was no such thing when I was growing up. You didn't have a room. The food you ate and the room you lived in was, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble, but I could give a
That's true. Absolutely.
When you put your hand in fire and it hurts, you may think twice about doing it again. And wait until your father gets home used to mean something.
Absolutely.
And so there are lines, and as kids, I'm not Dr. Spock or anything. I don't mean Star Trek, but this shrink who changed the relationship between parents and their kids. There are no lines. You sit down and you negotiate with kids. Since when? Their brains they're not formed until they're 25.
I know. I know. I hear that, and I think of, the things that are allowed today, gender-affirming surgery in minors and things like that. I just don't understand it.
I think it's wrong. And the unfortunate thing about it is, even if it's permissible by law, it may or may not be, is you can't change your mind once it's done.
No, it's permanent.